Good morning, Napster. This is my review of the Attack Shark R3 Magnesium mouse, and I just have to say, this mouse is confusing in so many ways. It just perplexes my brain. Maybe the most confusing mouse I've ever tried. And no, you shouldn't buy it. So straight off the right of the bat, this costs $100, and this is not worth $100 in my experience at all. There are just too many things that bring it down. If you saw my first impressions were mostly positive, mainly just the build quality on this thing. The build quality on this thing is fantastic. So for a company's first magnesium mouse, their first metal mouse, they knocked it out of the park. When people like Final Mouse have been in this game for a while and their QC is still iffy at best, that blew me away. There's no creaking, no flex, no click wobble, no click grinding, nothing. Nothing about the build quality or QC was bad, at least on my units. That blew me away. But it is all downhill from there. It is labeled as 46 grams on the Tech Shark website. On my scale, it came out to 47 to 48 grams. And it's not that that's heavy, but when you go out of your way to design a magnesium mouse, it should be lighter than that. I'm sorry. It's just baffling. Like, you look at this, like, okay, they cut out the magnesium holes, they do all that shit to make it lightweight. Look at the bottom. The bottom is just solid. There are no holes in it at all, so there's just that extra dead weight there, which makes no sense. Hottie X, you got holes in the bottom. Beast X Mini, you got holes in the bottom. Pulsar X2, holes in the bottom. That's how everything saves weight, magnesium or not. So to go through this effort of dealing with magnesium for their first time and just backing out and not committing to make it lightweight, what's the point? Why is this made of magnesium? What does it gain? It gains nothing other than just they took the X3 added metal and I guess they can charge $100 for it now, and it's just not worth $100. Why does it have Bluetooth? Why is it? This is a gaming mouse that supports up to 8K. Who the hell is gonna use Bluetooth on this thing? That probably adds marginal weight for the extra Bluetooth chip or whatever. Not the biggest thing, but it has to add some weight. It has to add marginal cost, and for a Chinese company wanting their margins as low as possible for the most profit, who is going to be swayed by Bluetooth on this mouse? I don't understand it. And when I first tried this, I thought the side holes were okay, but then as soon as my hand started sweating up, they were just not usable. They're a little bit better on the left side with the clicks, just because, that's less space there. But grip tape that it comes with is mandatory. There is just no option to use it without the grip tape on the sides. Like on the right side, it is just terrible, terrible design. Even worse than the Beast X Mini, which I have this covered up with grip tape. I probably I threw the stocks ones on here. I'm probably just gonna go for like smaller, just single, like super grip like that, because that's all it really needs. But for this one, it just felt like it needed the entire thing covered because it's just that bad, and that's not a good look. So the build quality is great, but other things about this design don't make any sense or just aren't well implemented at all. And then you go to things like the clicks. These are Kale 8.0 Black Mambas. And I don't like them at all. If you hear them, they're just this really sharp piercing sound compared to something like these, the Beast X Mini with the Wano blue shell pink dots. Much more muted clicks in my other mice. And this is just loud and piercing and shrill, and I do not like the way it sounds. And then the way it feels. It doesn't feel heavy, but it's stiff. It's just not as light and clicky and spammable as you'd want it to be. It just feels like it's fighting against you a little bit when it shouldn't be. And it's not a good experience. And then the scroll wheel, it is the loose scroll wheel, which some people like. I prefer a looser scroll wheel, but this one is just too loose for my liking. It just feels like it gets away from you. Those clicks are not a good experience. Then you go to the side clicks. These side clicks are terrible. These side clicks are terrible. I don't know how they thought it. The clicks themselves are okay. They're not bad, but let me zoom in on this. There's just a gap in between the scroll wheels for some reason, which makes no sense. So your thumb just has to go through a little, it has to move back and forth between them rather than something that doesn't have any gaps where you can just rest your thumb in the middle and just easily go back and forth without really moving your thumb. For me, I have to kind of like move my thumb up and down, which isn't what you want. And then on top of it, they're angled weirdly. It's not a flat scroll wheel. It's just like jutted out with this weird triangle thing poking out. So the actual surface you have that you actually click on is small, even though the full button itself isn't big. The actual surface that it juts out is just really small. So it's this bizarre experience of you needing to move your thumb up and down and just getting it to rest on the right small surface area that's poking out. And it's just not good. And you want to look at the internals. The internals of this, like I said, like this, no holes, not designed to be lightweight. The internals just, it feels like there's so much here they could have cut out if they wanted to save on weight without any effort. And it's just, it's bizarre. Like I said, it's like what, 47, 48 grams. It's not that heavy. Like my Hottie X plastic, 41 grams. Beast X Mini, it's like 37 or 38. These feel like they're committed to being lightweight mice, and this just took a moderately lightweight mice, threw a magnesium chassis on it, and called it a day without actually committing. And the shape is fine for the most part, but I feel like these curves, they're a little bit too flat for my liking. So I want them to be curved in a little bit more, because when I hold this in my hand, it just feels chunky, especially if you have to have the side grips that came out in order to hold it properly. It just feels chunky, and it makes it feel heavier than it should. And I just don't like moving this mouse around at all. It's just honestly just a terrible experience, and I wanted to stop using it, but I had to keep using it in order to get the review out, and I just hated it. And the stock skates, they have they're okay, they're fine, they're not great. They came with dots in the box as well, which I didn't, well, I threw them on. I didn't like them, at least on a Zero Soft. Dot skates are not my thing, but they're not like properly aligned at all. It's not that that really affects anything, but just helps make this mouse feel cheap and poorly designed. I'm sure other budget mice are like this. I'm not selling this out. You have to save your margins somewhere, and if having the skates a little bit misaligned are part of it, then I guess that's it. But it's bizarre. And then you get to the other bad parts. This is the dongle for it, and it supposedly supports up to 8K. I didn't even try it with the 8K. Excuse me. I just set it to 4K, and it just felt like it wasn't tracking properly. Like as soon as I started to do anything, playing Fortnite, just going around scrolling the island, it felt fine. But the moment things started kicking into action, it just felt like there's just this weird desync between my motions and the mouse, and it just genuinely lost me gunfights. Like, if there's a mouse I don't like, for the mouse, as long as it's competent, it's not like, oh shit, I lost because of my goddamn mouse. But here, it genuinely felt like I was losing because of this mouse, and it may be interference. It may be an interference thing. So, I also had my Beast X Mini cat dongle plugged in, but that, you can't say, oh, this is good wireless implementation as long as there's no other wireless interference, as long as your mom's not using the microwave. That's just not excusable for me. And I've heard reports of double clicking on these units as well, or at least on the X3, I'm not sure. And I don't think I need double clicking, but I don't trust it not to, honestly. And yeah, for $100, I don't understand why you would buy this mouse. You're not buying it because it's a great 4K implementation as a budget. There are other 4K implementations that are on this price mark that seem to be better than this. You're not buying it because it's a super lightweight magnesium mouse. It's magnesium, but it's honestly not super lightweight, so you're not getting your value there. The clicks aren't great. The scroll wheel's not great. It's just Are you buying it because you want Bluetooth? Is that why you're buying it? There is. I don't. This mouse is confusing. I don't understand it. I don't see any reason to buy it. It's a dud. Don't waste your money on this. I'm sorry. This is just a terrible experience that I actively hated using, and I'm glad to be done with it. My hand size is, I'm on the smaller hand size, so maybe my hands are a little bit better. I would like the shape a little bit better. It wouldn't feel so chunky. But so if you have bigger hands, the shape might feel better to you with the flatter curves. But the shape was not the biggest problem with it. It was just everything. So yeah, don't buy this. I Beast X Mini, this came in afterwards, and I'm gonna get my review of this. And I wanted to keep using this. This came in, but I was like, I have to shit out this review and keep spending time with this. And it was just a depressing experience, honestly. So that's all I have to say. Rock over London, rock on Chicago. I'm out.